I think if you were to perform a global census regarding the quality of the three Matrix movies, most people would say that the first one is the best, the third one is the worst or least good of the three, and the second one, though it has some thrilling moments, is nowhere near as good as the first, but neither is it as bloated as the third. There are anomalies of opinion, of course. For myself, I find that I am able to love all three of them. I'm also in a unique position where I can acknowledge the valid criticisms people have of the movies, primarily the sequels, while retaining a sensitive fondness for everything these movies got right. See, I'm somebody who lives off of philosophical concepts, both spiritually and financially. It's literally my job to talk about that sort of thing on YouTube at this present moment. Ergo, I feel I've researched enough forms of profound media to notice a great idea when I see or hear it. In regards to the Matrix sequels, the philosophical ideas in those movies were truly lovely, ones that were unfortunately presented poorly. Admittedly, whether or not the ideas were actually presented poorly is subjective. Some might say that the sequels presented these ideas perfectly, and those who didn't understand were just stupid. Others will say that the ideas presented don't actually carry any profundity and were just a bunch of pretentious word salad. I'll respond to those two claims with a simple phrase. There's a difference between throwing a philosophy textbook at the side of somebody's head and opening it up at the first page and reading it slowly. I think that if you're going to convey a complex idea in a movie, it's the duty of the filmmaker to generate enthusiasm for the idea. Maybe they don't get the idea right away, but hopefully you can entice them to watch again and again until they can comprehend. In the case of the first movie, most people loved it because it not only mainstreamed and memed a lot of thought-provoking sci-fi, but it was presented in a way that millions of people were able to comprehend. The sequels, on the other hand, lost that enthusiasm from those millions of people because the barrier to entry was too thick. In other words, the majority of people watching the Matrix sequels were ready and willing to engage with complex ideas, but when the time came to open the textbook and start reading, the textbook got thrown at their heads instead. It's not that the ideas aren't profound, and it's not that most people can't comprehend them. They are profound, and people can comprehend them, but the value of these ideas wasn't made obvious to many who watched the Matrix sequels. Thus, many people, understandably, walked away frustrated. Starting today, I'd like to try and fix this state of affairs. With this video, I will try and elucidate some of the ideas presented in The Matrix Reloaded. If I succeed with this video, I will do the same with The Matrix Revolutions. I am doing this in anticipation of The Matrix Resurrections, which is releasing in December. Hopefully, watching this video will encourage you to go back and watch the sequels before the release of the new movie, and give you a newfound appreciation for the franchise. I can tell you, once I understood what the hell the Oracle, the Merovingian, and the Architect were going on about, the sequels suddenly don't seem anywhere near as bad. Before I address the specific ideas that come up in The Matrix Reloaded, I think it would be helpful to review the concept of the One, and how Neo came to be the One. As we learned from Morpheus in the first movie, the One was a man that was born within the Matrix when it was first constructed. This man was special because he possessed a special code that no other human had when plugged into the Matrix. The easiest way to understand the nature of the code that the One carries is to liken the One to a gamer playing a single-player world-building game. Think of something like The Sims or SimCity, where you have the power to manipulate reality to your liking. That's basically who Neo is in The Matrix. As for why this special reality-bending code exists and why it is given to Neo, the Architect explains. The existence of the One and the special code he carries is inherent to the Matrix. Though the machines have tried their best to delete the very concept of the One from the Matrix, they were unable to do so. There's no specific explanation given for why the code couldn't be removed, but I believe the reason can be inferred. But bear with me. I think it's best to explain that reason towards the end of this video. What I can't explain now is why the machines would want the One to be removed from the Matrix. There's the short and obvious explanation and the necessarily long explanation. The short and obvious explanation is that the One would lead the rebelling humans to victory against the machines by deleting the Matrix and ensuring the continued survival of humanity in the real world. Then there's the long explanation, which has to do with the problem of choice.
Choice. The problem is choice.
As we know, the Matrix was not only created so that the machines could feed off the power generated by human body heat, but it was also created to study human nature. According to the architect, the ultimate conclusion of this centuries-long study was as follows. 99% of the humans hooked up to the Matrix would never become aware of the true state of affairs. The reason why 99% of the humans remained unconscious slaves was because the machines coded the Matrix in such a way to encourage this unconsciousness. The big problem that the machines faced was that no matter how perfectly coded the Matrix was, there would always be 1% of people that would become conscious of the Matrix and rebel against it. The reason for this is that there is a fundamental difference between machine consciousness and human consciousness. Machines are programmed to be rational and thus strive towards perfection. Humans are fundamentally irrational and will always prevent any sort of perfection. It's just like what the Russian author Fyodor Dostoevsky pointed out in his book Notes from Underground. Even if you could create a perfect reality where all humans had to do was sleep, eat, and have sex all the time, the first thing humans would do is tear that reality down just so something new and interesting would happen. That type of behavior is antithetical to the behavior of a machine, because that behavior is irrational. No matter how hard the machines tried, they couldn't alter human nature in such a way to remove human irrationality because that would remove the fundamental human ability to choose. And so, there would always be this 1% of humans that would act as an anomaly within the Matrix. Among those humans, there would be a person that would act as the sum of all anomalies, defying all the limits put upon them within the Matrix, where most humans would only be able to defy some. That one person was Neo, and that 1% were all the people that were red-pilled and escaped the Matrix. They were the ones that chose against the Matrix, despite the numerous efforts of the machines to get them to choose the Matrix.
I choose the Matrix.
Now, as for how all this fits into the Matrix Reloaded, recall what I just said about the difference between humans and machines. Humans, though capable of rationality, are also equally capable of irrationality. Machines, however, do not possess irrationality, just like the architect said. The machines are driven towards perfection, a perfection that does not allow for irrationality. Nonetheless, the machines are still left with the existence of irrational humans, ones that work against their plans. They are still left to deal with the existence of the One and the red-pilled. The machines ultimately concluded that if they cannot delete the anomalies, then maybe they could control them somehow. This motivated the machines to create the Prophecy of the One. The machines would randomly distribute this special code, this code that they couldn't delete, to one of the humans connected to the Matrix, the human that would end up being the One. Then, the machines would manufacture a compelling religious story around this special human, one that would be communicated to the remaining humans in the real world by the Oracle. This story foretells the coming of the One, who would bring peace between the humans and the machines and destroy the Matrix. In order for this to happen, the One would have to be guided along a predetermined path, one where it seems like they have choice when in fact they do not. Every moment of Neo's life up until he met the architect was predetermined. His life was coded to follow a series of pre-planned events, so that he would inevitably choose the red pill, become the One, become a religious figure to the people of Zion, find the Keymaker, and return to the Source. Upon returning to the Source, the One would reboot the Matrix. This would force the 1% of potential anomalies connected to the Matrix to have their consciousness restarted, so that they would have to begin the search for the One all over again. As well, all humans in Zion would be killed, save for 16 females and 7 males. This process of rebooting, searching for the One, finding them, and then rebooting again would continue as long as the One followed the path predetermined by the machines. If, however, they did not choose to reboot the Matrix, then the alternative would be the extinction of the human race. It's absolutely brilliant. Even if the machines couldn't control human irrationality, even if they couldn't remove their ability to choose, they could influence it to an unimaginable degree. It's like, what do you choose? Do you save humanity from extinction while keeping them as slaves to the machines? Or would it be better for all of humanity to die than to live forever as slaves? Going beyond that, it makes you wonder what levels of control exist in our reality. Even if our world isn't governed by omnipresent AI, maybe there are aspects of our lives that are forever controlled by invisible entities, manipulating us through the economy, the media, politics, etc. If such lengths of control can be imagined within fiction, who's to say that they don't exist to some degree right now? But going back to The Matrix Reloaded, the level of control that the machines have over human beings is unconscionable. It's all-consuming. For 2 full movies, the actions and events that took place were constructed by the machines, including the Architect and the Oracle. Thank God the humans had the Oracle on their side, a program that loved humans for their irrationality. Even if she was carrying out the will of the machines by perpetuating the path of the One, she was only doing it because she figured it was the only way humanity could survive. Any other way would be impossible, right? Well, to a machine or program, it would be impossible, because they are bound to the fundamental law of reality, cause and effect. Both the Oracle and the Merovingian characters discuss the law of cause and effect in detail during the park bench scene and the lunch scene. All living beings, supposedly, are bound to this law. Everything that exists now is the result of some prior cause. It is thanks to this law that the Oracle is able to predict the future. By looking at what came before, she can determine the most likely possibility about what will follow. This is also how the machines were able to control the humans to such a gargantuan degree. By considering everything that happened before, by considering every cause, they could determine almost every effect. Almost. What neither the Oracle nor any of the other machines could predict was what Neo would choose upon meeting the Architect. The rational choice would have been to save humanity by completing the path of the One. To not do so would result in the definite end of the human race. Nevertheless, Neo's love for Trinity, his desire to save her life, made him choose what many would consider to be the irrational choice. She was likely going to die along with all the other human beings in Zion. The question is, was this choice the result of cause and effect? Or was it the cause of chance? Was it an anomaly? Maybe that anomaly was free will, something that even the law of cause and effect cannot account for, something that even the almighty machines could not delete. It's impossible to say for certain. What I can say is that the only reason cause and effect can exist is because there are chance anomalies to define them. It's just like how light cannot exist without darkness. One needs the other in order to exist. This is why the anomalies could never be deleted from the Matrix. This is why Neo made the choice he did. Irrationality, chance events, anomalies are just as much a part of life as rationality is, as much as cause and effect is. And it's that irrationality that distinguishes human beings. It's what exalts us. It's what makes us special. Few other forms of media glorify the human condition in the same way that The Matrix does, especially when it's on the basis of something that is usually abhorred, like irrationality. I believe that even though The Matrix Reloaded might not have been clear with its message, the events that take place in the movie illustrate this message in a profound and beautiful way. Not only that, I believe The Matrix Revolutions does it as well, but that'll be for the next video. Thanks for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure to give this video a like if you liked it. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss my upcoming Matrix-related videos. Also, if you like the work I'm doing here and want to support the continued discussion of thought-provoking ideas, please consider supporting me on Patreon. I'll leave a link to my Patreon in the description box below. Until next time, just remember, as always, to
Free your mind.